Hey everybody. I see we have Matt on and Jeff on. Let me know, Matt and Jeff, if you can hear me okay. Hopefully you can. And it says nobody's on yet, so I don't know what's going on. We'll see. All right. Well, we'll get going on the Joe Walsh style as soon as I get some feedback here and a couple more people on. It looks like nobody is on yet. Oh, it just says somebody came on. Not sure who. Let me type in and just say hello to people. Hello, Matt. Hi, Jeff. There we go. All right. Oh, it looks like Aziz is on today. Hey, Aziz. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for joining. We're going to do Joe Walsh in just a second. Somebody please give me feedback that you can hear. If you can't hear, let me know that you can't hear. And the guitar. I'm always paranoid about that. Panama Jeff. Hey, buddy. How you doing? It is snowing like crazy outside again. I thought we were done with this, but I guess not, which is a bummer. All right. Hey, 2001 Joe. Good to see you as well. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, we'll get going with this in just a minute. Happy Pi Day. Oh, that's right. It is Pi Day today. Nemo Unknown. Thanks for telling me that. I usually bake pies on Pi Day, but not today. Well, we've got a few other people. I just want to say before I get started, the response on the membership site has been fantastic. I really thank everybody who joined as a member. And there's a link in the description of the video that you can go to and find it and join if you'd like. And I'm going to be demoing that in a bit. Looks like we're getting some more people on now, which is cool. All right, so I'm going to be demoing that in a bit, and we'll just kind of play some Joe Walsh in between. All right, so welcome to everybody on this. Mr. Thomas V, this is for you, buddy. This is for you. I was tooling around. I'll tell you what, I was tooling around with it, and it always needs its winter tune-up. This is one of those guitars that just needs a tremendous amount of, it takes a lot of love, I'll put it that way, to play this guitar and to make it playable. And not quite as much on some of my others, but so I spent a lot of time with this yesterday, and I think I got it into reasonable shape. And I figured, what the heck? Hey, Gary. Hey, El Rondo. All right, well, let's just get going, and I'm just going to jam a little bit, maybe, and we'll see what happens. So let's just start out. All right. I don't know if I'm getting enough bottom end on that. I'm not liking the bottom end. Let's put a little more bass into it. All right. There we go. Let's see. All right. Dig it. This is a perfect guitar for that. I don't know what he played it on, actually, which is kind of interesting. Joe Walsh, that's the lick. I don't know if he was the first one to come up with that. Probably not. But that whole, anybody, it sounds just like Footloose to me. Everybody cut loose. Footloose. Right? So it inspired tons and tons of other things that are there, and of course that nice funky stuff that's going on. Even has the Hendrix chord in it. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, let's take a second here to kind of look over, and you tell me what comes to mind when you think of Joe Walsh as a player. We just started this one out with a little Funk 49, but what are some of the things that come to your mind when you think of Joe Walsh as a player? And let me say hi to some folks who are on here. Hello to Gary, always good to see you. And to Pascal, hello. And Highly Strung 1000, hello to you. William Thurman, Rosewood Bitters or The Confessor. Not going to do either of those today. We're just going to kind of do things around that, but those are good. I like The Confessor a lot. I like that album a lot. It's a good album. Robbie Love, hey to you. And all right. Mike Merlot, hey, and thanks, Mike. So first of all, again, as people are joining here, yeah, we're not going to be doing any slide guitar, but that's a great one that comes to mind. Certainly, he's a slide player. Definitely played a lot of slide. I'm not much of a slide player, so I avoid that as much as I can with bends, other things. But there we go. I try to fake a slide as much as I can. James Gang, yeah. So anyway, I want to just thank everybody who joined as a member. Of course, I launched the membership site on Tuesday. We're still in the middle of the launch. It's closing on this Tuesday coming up on the 16th. It's going to close for enrollment. So don't worry, if you're already enrolled, it's not going to close. That's not what's happening. It's just going to close for enrollment for a while. And it'll open again sometime in the future, but it's going to close for enrollment on Tuesday. And there's sales and stuff like that. I'll take you through that a little bit later. But we're going to talk Joe Walsh for a while. So slide guitar for sure. All right. Used to play at a club called Hullabaloo in Mentor, Ohio. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Barnstorm, yeah, he played in Barnstorm. James Gang. Hey, Butch, USMC. Good to have you on, buddy. Okay. Well, I'll tell you, some of the things that really come to mind for me are his bends and his kind of country style playing. He did an awful lot of the this sort of. Let me see if I can. That kind of stuff. And he was always very precise in his bends. And he didn't put a lot of vibrato in it, but he was pretty energetic in his play. All right. Anyway, Townsend was a huge, huge fan of his play. And in fact, they used to start out for The Who. I think the James Gang, and that's kind of where they had their big break, was warming up for The Who. All right, we're going to do another improv in just a second that I think is very much in his style. But before we do, I want to ask you all a trivia question. So what was Joe's first instrument? And if Fenderman is on, you are not allowed to answer. Because Fenderman always knows stuff like that. What was Joe Walsh's first instrument? Meadows, good work. Good stuff there. Hey, Vince Dean. Ciao. All right. You are not getting our feed, said there are 42 of us. Yeah. Yeah. There's an intentional delay. It's not because anybody's going to cuss or anything like that. It's just because otherwise the bandwidth is outrageous. I live kind of in the boonies, and I don't have the bandwidth that a lot of these fancy people in the city got. So I have to balance it. Triangle, the piano. No, his mother actually was like a professional musician or a very trained musician in piano, I think. Bass, no. Believe it or not, the answer is close. Mike is Nemo Unknown is the closest to it, and then James Stewart's on, and Talkbox, yeah, that's right. But no, his first instrument was the oboe, if you could believe that. Can you imagine what would have happened if Joe Walsh stayed with the oboe and did that? All right, so let's see if we can do a Joe Walsh style backing track. I'm gonna put a little more gain on this. I don't know if I'll put a little more gain, and that's maybe too much. Definitely don't. There we go. All right, let's try it. All right. Okay, so I think that was kind of like a typical sort of Joe Walsh sort of play. Hopefully, you got a good Joe Walsh vibe out of that. One of the things I really love about his play is it just is so laid back. He's just so laid back and playing with the groove of the song, and yeah, he's just I don't know how to describe it. He's just so slow. Takes his time getting to those bends, and he has those. He's a pentatonic player for the most part, but he always is playing chord tones, and he uses a lot of major pentatonics like a lot of country sort of players do. And he plays chord tones, and he uses those little chromatic things. So, when he's playing over A, he might play a, minor pentatonic. But he's going to put a major third in there. And he might even bend to it. Very slowly and precisely. Better than I just did there, for sure. And another thing I really love about his play is like those chromatic lifts, like he does in Hotel California too. But anyway, great stuff. Great stuff. Okay, what are some of your favorite Joe Walsh tunes? All right, a little too much gain on that. Is that right? So Joe Walsh and Ringo are married to sisters, Catherine Bach And next you're going to tell me that they descended from Johannes Sebastian Bach. Catherine Bach I know, but I don't know the other one. All right, cool. All right, so let's so I do want to take a little bit of time to show. I know a number of people have gone through this. This is the last live stream I'm going to do before I close the enrollment. I'm not going to close the site, as I said, to the members, but I'm going to take a moment to show folks what it looks like, and so that you can see. All right, so I'm just going to flip over to that. Let's just take a look at the desktop here. And so this is what the site kind of looks like if you're a member. Now it's meant for folks to go a little bit deeper, and it's much more around guitar instruction than just kind of playing songs and learning little tidbits. But you know, one of the issues with YouTube, from the content creator's point, there's many issues, but from a learner's point of view, is that it's not organized, and YouTube makes it very hard for content creators to do that. And so that's what I've done here. And I've organized around something called the membership here. I'm just going to click on here. So if you join, you get, I'll show you what you get actually. You get a bunch of things. So now the resolution on the screen's a little bit smaller, so I'm trying to deal with two different things here, but you can see, you know, there's a little bit of a, oh, I see. Huh. There's a course curriculum here. And you know, if you would sign up, you've got all this stuff about like what's included in the membership, but also how to get around. So I've put a lot of thought into navigating, because one of the things I researched on and found was that many people with a lot of sites, what they really don't like about it is they're overwhelmed. There's just too much, and there's a lot of material here, so I spent a lot of time doing that. And there's even a self-assessment. That's actually a to be done, but a self-assessment, and I'll get to that in just a second. But on the course curriculum, oops, on the included courses, you can see there's lots of courses that are included here. There's membership, what's new, and that's kind of an important thing. And then there's rock tunes, there's R&B tunes. So these are things that are similar but more in depth and in more bite-sized chunks. I always go into tone on things like that, and a little more onto theory, but you can avoid it because it's in little bite-sized things. And R&B tunes, but then there's also individual lessons on timing, tone, technique, and theory. And then there's some other included courses, because as a member you get anything I publish. If I do other courses, like here's an electric blues for the absolute beginner, and here's a classic R&B, you get that. And you also get, obviously you get my free stuff, but you also get all my tabs that I have on YouTube all bundled up, so you don't have to download them individually, which is kind of a pain. But let me take you inside one of these things. Let me take you inside this for just a second in the what's new. I created this because, and there's also a suggestion box where people can suggest, well, let me just show you. There's a what's new this month. And this is literally going to tell you all the things that are uploaded for example, for March here. You can see that in timing, I added blues versus rock. So it's a sitemap, basically, of things that are new. So you'll never, you know, if you're looking for new things, here they are. In tone, I talk about the essential pedals that you need. In technique, I talk about hybrid picking this month. And in theory, I talk about some arpeggios, some major arpeggios, closed forms, and blending chords and scales. So there's a smattering of different things. There's some beginner stuff and some less beginner stuff, I'll put it that way. And then in rock tunes this month, I've got Let It Be, Up Around the Bend, Mississippi Queen, and Back in Black. On blues tunes, I've got Born Under Bad Sign. On R&B tunes, I've got Dock of the Bay and Midnight Hour. And all of these things are going to be growing monthly. So that's what happens. That's what I've got new this month. And then next month, it'll be all different things. So that's that. There's a calendar to help you keep to date for all the different live streams and things like that. Now that's not necessarily YouTube live streams, because there's going to be a lot of private for members only live streams, but also Q&A where you can get on live in my Zooms and ask me questions directly. And then here's a suggestion box for people who are like adding in suggestions for what they want to hear. So Robert is asking for China Girl, the solo for China Girl. I actually like the rhythm for China Girl is amazing. Not that Stevie Ray is ever not amazing, but anyway, so that's kind of what in some ways what the site looks like. And let me see if I can go back here. Yeah. And go back here. There we go. And then one of the other things that's kind of nice is, just to give you an idea, you can track your progress here too. So see, you're 17% complete. Watch what happens as I go through these videos. Let's say I wanted to learn Up Around the Bend and I was going through it. I can start and finish this video here.
Let's talk sound for just a little bit. Now, what we're
so here I am talking about the sound of Creedence Clearwater Revival on that tune in this case. And once that's done, I just click on this little complete and continue here. And you'll watch this 17 right here is going to, this 17 right here, you'll see it goes up. It goes to 19% when I finish that video. And if I finish the next one, and you can see there's tab and stuff like that that goes along with it, backing tracks. But when you complete and continue, then it goes to the next one and so forth.
We've got a D and we've got an A.
So yeah, I think it's kind of good. And then when you finish, you can see that when it updates, you can see it's now 21% complete. So you see the progress that you're making in each one of these courses, which is kind of cool. All right. So anyway, so that is what's going on, and there's special pricing and giveaways this week. And like I said, it's going to end on Tuesday. All right. So let me go back to here. Anyway, it's just one nice. It's a really nice way. If you like my teaching, I think you'll like the membership site quite a bit. And if you want to support me in a different way, there's always super chat and other things like that. But the simplest thing is just to like the videos, right? So, for example, right now, if you're hanging out and you like hanging out and you like me putting together this stuff for Joe Walsh, please click the like button. Leave a comment. There's another way to do it. Those are nice ways to do it. All right. Self-assessment. No. So the teaching on the website or on the membership site is based on this. I've had lots and lots of students who, there's lots of material out there that's like visualize the fretboard sort of material. And I think a lot of students get the impression that they should be guilty about a lot of things that they don't know, which, first of all, there's like an infinite number of things that you can know about the guitar, right? So don't feel guilty about it. But they also think that, hey, if I can visualize the fretboard using major pentatonic or minor pentatonic or the modes or whatever, right? Super Locrian scale, that I have to know all that stuff before I can really play. And it's just not true. And a lot of times it's not theory that holds people back, it's something else. So what the self-assessment does is it tries to help you pinpoint which area you're weakest in, and then the site helps you shore that up and then practice with tunes. So that's the idea. The areas that I found students to have weaknesses in, and myself included, right? I include myself in this, are timing, tone, and I'm not just talking equipment. I'm talking about tone from the fingers. Tone, theory. Yeah, there is some theory where sometimes people, for example, they don't know they don't know the notes on the fretboard. They can't tell you that, for example, that this is a G on the B string 8th fret, right? They don't know that's a G. Or worse yet, they don't know the 6th string, the E string. They don't know that, say, this is a B, or this is an A, or this is a C. And that's going to be a handicap that's going to hurt them. So if they overcome that, it unlocks a lot of other things that they can do. So the idea is to say, what are you weakest in, and then improve that. The 4th T is technique, and that's my personal weakness, is technique. So I often work on that one as much as I can. Anyway, that's the idea. That is the idea. So if that sounds interesting to you, great. Maybe have a look. And I also put a link to the sales page where it discusses all this stuff. There's a video series called Joy of Guitar where it discusses a lot of this stuff. Anyway, let's get back to some Joe. Alrighty. So let's see, another one of my Joe faves. Let's see if I can do this one. Now this is one we talked about. David Smith. Hi. Let me say hi to a few people. There's ML. Hello to you, and Wes. Good to see you. Mark Davidge. Good to see you. Bob Schumann. Siebes. Good to see you on today, and David Smith. Hello to you, and Brian Kethley. Hello to you. Excellent. Yeah. So Joe was known for a Telecaster. He was also known for playing a Les Paul, and he also played like his Carvin. He played some Duesenbergs. The main thing I think to think about Joe Walsh is whatever the other guy's playing, he's going to play something different, and I think that's really the right characteristic that you want to take away from Joe Walsh as in terms of his guitar. He plays all sorts of guitars, and but he's always going to play something different from what anybody else is playing. So there's a contrast. And I think that's a wise way of taking it. That's right, El Rondo. Thank you, buddy. Reminding everybody. Appreciate it. Okay, like to have a good cup of Joe. Oh, and that reminds me, I'm gonna have a little bit of breakfast now. So thanks for reminding me, Bush. Okay, we've got enough for this one, so let's see if we can try this. Put a little compressor on. Not confessor, but compressor. All right, so people were saying that that he plays a mean slide guitar. He does. I don't. So I'm going to try and fake it the best I can for this, and we'll see what happens. All right, here we go. All right. There we go. Let's go. Let's see. See some questions here. Live version of Turn to Stone. Hi from Illinois. Hey, Angel Angel. Good to see you. Mark Davids, thank you. No, it looks like noise, right? Isn't that what all the young kids say is noise? Let's see. New string, so I got that B string I'm bending out. All right, let's see. You're welcome, Chris. Thank you for the suggestion to do Joe Walsh. I love Joe Walsh. I love Joe's playing. I don't listen to Joe Walsh enough. I don't know enough of his stuff. I know the Confessor album and some of the other stuff and some of the hits, but that's about it. Yeah, thanks, David Smith. Yeah, I was trying to do the talk box. I can't really do that thing with my setup here, but there we go. Okay, so let's see. Thanks, Rebel. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. What do you think is the most famous Joe Walsh song? What would you say would be the? Well, okay. Well, I'll tell you, Butch. I am using a really simple setup. Obviously, I'm using a Fender Strat. And as Mr. Thomas V will call me on, this is a genuine Fender. This is a 2011 American Standard. And I'm playing out of the neck pickup. Now, I've got the tone rolled off a little bit. I will admit that. I've got the tone rolled off a little bit. Your mileage may vary. So that's the guitar. Let me turn on to off the noise. On the regular stuff, I didn't add a compressor, but on that last one I did because I was playing a lot of lead lines. I wanted them to I was playing the singing voice, so I wanted it to ring out a little bit more and to sustain a little bit more. So I put on just a little bit of compression, just to kind of, so I could get, so I could get that kind of talking guitar a little bit more. And then I'm using a really simple amp today. I'm actually going direct. I record it directly ambiently in the room, so I hear what you hear. And I'm using a Black Star TVP. So this is very similar. It's honestly, folks, it's very similar to a Boss Katana. There's a lot of similarity with this. And on this one, I'm just using the Crunch. And that's it. Nothing else. Now, on some of these, I will crank up the gain a little bit. Oh, and I have a little bit of reverb on, and that's it. So I try. My philosophy is use as few pedals and stuff as you can, and let the guitar and your fingers do the work, and the amp do the work. And you're adding pedals, and you're adding effects like you add spices to food. Now, even if you like it really spicy. Let's say you get a I don't know. I'm just trying to think of what I like really spicy, right? Some chicken that's really spicy. I don't want to put so much spice that I don't taste the chicken, right? That I have a really good, or maybe I have really good ribs or something like that. I'm not going to put so much sauce on that I can only taste the sauce. What I want to do is I want to put on just the heat should enhance the flavor, right? And that's how I think about pedals. Anyway, that's my philosophy with pedals. I think all of my analogies to guitar playing are to food, so it's probably telling you something today. I'm hungry. Oh yeah, okay. So Robbie Love is saying life's been good. Walk Away. Now I did a lesson on Walk Away. I did a lesson on Life's Been Good too. So yeah, but you're right, Nemo Unknown. The most famous guitar Joe Walsh song is Hotel California. Although I don't think he wrote that song, right? But he did write Life in the Fast Lane. I think that Life in the Fast Lane is a Joe Walsh song. So, yeah, Mark Davids. Yeah, you get carried away with a compressor. It's easy to put so much compression on there. And in a small room like this, you're getting amp compression anyway, so. Thanks, Butch. I really appreciate it. Yeah, just use them really sparingly. I mean, this is just a little compression and a little reverb, and then gain on the pedal, or then gain, from the amp. So if you have a clean amp, totally clean, it would be just a little bit of compression, a little bit of reverb, and a little bit of overdrive. Yep. Yeah, and Mark David says, right, if you're not running an amp that has a lead channel or has its own gain, then you maybe add a little bit of overdrive in there. But that's another thing that drives me crazy. People who crank the gain. If you're adding overdrive, just add a little bit. Don't add a lot. A lot of people, when they use pedals, they take the knobs and turn them all to 10. I'm like, oh my God, don't do that. Just do a little bit. It's just going to be really cool. 92 Dilly Dally, Life in the Fast Lane. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one for sure. Okay. Glad you can relate to food. Okay. Yeah, is that right, Mike DR, that Henley wrote the lyrics? Not surprising, which is probably why it has to get taken down. That's another one of my videos that I did a lesson on that you will not be able to see unless you're in parts of like Timbuktu. It's interesting. He did some pretty acoustic stuff, what makes a gurgly sound on that, and Miller's Jungle Love. I'm not immediately thinking of Jungle Love. How similar is that to like Frampton's stuff? I'm trying to think of like Frampton's stuff that he does live. He kicks in a Leslie a lot. Or you can use a chorus to emulate that. Let me do one more Joe Walsh, and we'll just kind of jam along to this. Somebody mentioned Life's Been Good. I like that song. It's kind of funny, and another one of those things that's just so laid back. You can just play it. So let's just see. Let's see how we do, and then I think maybe we'll just kind of talk out a little bit. All right. Not liking that sound too much. Now I got it. All right, enough. This goes on for a long time, so we're just basically jamming on an A chord that eventually goes to a G chord. So it's just kind of like a, and it's a suspended. All right. So anyway, there we go. Rick, yes. So I wanted to look at this, play Walk Away. I've got a lesson on that, Mike. You can have a look at that a little bit later. But appreciate the ad or the discussion. So yeah, I want to catch up a little bit. Let's see. So David Smith says Rick Beano did his 100th on Do You Feel Like We Do? Yeah, that was one of my favorite songs. I do lessons on that all the time, as you know. I love that, and I love the modal play that goes on in that. It's really fun, and I thought about doing a response video to it to take advantage of the fact that Rick did that to coast on some of his views, but I didn't do it. All right, Joe Walsh also has an amateur radio license. That is really interesting. That is very, very interesting. Yes, even if Henley didn't write the lyrics, he will gladly take the credit. All right. So, let's see. Let me get back to one more thing I want to show you. And then we'll just kind of chat for a little bit. We will just kind of chat for a little bit. And that is about it. Okay, so I do... That's not it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so right now, I took people through the member site a little while ago. I'm not going to spend a lot more time doing this, and I promise this is the last time for a long time that I'll be plugging so much, but worked really hard for this release. And so if you are at all interested in joining as a member, if you like my teaching style, if you like my videos, my teaching using the 5T method, which is timing, tone, theory, technique, and then you layer it all with tunes. So the way I think of it is, I was going back on the food analogy. Suppose you have a table, and the table legs are not all the same length. What happens when you put the meal on top of it and try to eat? It's always sliding off the table. So the important thing is to find what are your weak spots and shore up that table. So if you find like your weak spot is timing, then you can work on your timing, get that to be better, and you'll start to make steady progress again. If you find that your tone is bad, that happens to a lot of my students, their tone is not good, they don't have good legato, they don't know the difference between legato and staccato, that kind of thing. They can get that up. It's not that difficult, and they can get it up, and then they can start making progress. I think of the tunes, the performance as the meal. That's music. The music is the meal. So if one of those is out of balance, then it's hard to eat your meal on a slanty table. So that's what this is all geared about, and that's what the 5T method is. That's what I teach. So let me just show you quickly what it is today. So there's yours truly in a little video. There's still 2 days left to get it. There's just some copy, advertising copy. And then at the bottom, every month you get all new lessons. As I showed you, there's a huge amount this month. There's like 15, 16 different new lessons. Beginner, intermediate, some advanced. And the tunes are that way as well. Some are really easy, and some are quite challenging, and everything in between. And they're segmented easily so that you can find the blues tunes, the R&B tunes, and the rock tunes. There's more rock tunes than anything else. And here's kind of what it looks like. Here's what you get for the membership. You get the 5T, the core of that, but you also get any courses that I publish. And like if I publish right now, I've got a course on classic R&B essentials, and I've got a beginner blues course. You get those. when I publish my next course, which will be on lead guitar playing for rock. That's one of the ones I'm working on right now. You'll get that automatically as a member. And there are member live streams, not like this one, but there are member live streams which are a little more intimate, and office hours. I keep office hours where you can ask me questions one-on-one, and first come, first serve. There's a suggestion box where you can alter the course of what the site is going to look like, right? It's not about me, it's about you. So that's why it's so important. And private Facebook group. There's always tab, backing tracks, and there is a gear giveaway this month. And you can even check it out. There's a link in the description where you can click on this, and you can even check out some of the videos that are right there. But this month we are giving away a Zoom pedal, and we are giving away a choice of one of these guitars. So if you were going to be the winner for the guitar giveaway, you get to choose one of these. I know which one Mr. Thomas V would choose, but if you're not into Strats, you could pick the Les Paul type of guitar. And if you're not into that, you could pick this Les Paul Jr., which is a interesting color there. And if you really like tellies, you could pick this orange telly there. That's a Squier telly. So there you go. Anyway, that's what's going on this month and going on in the next few days. All right, so that's enough. That's all I'm going to say about that, unless people have questions. But that's what it's all about. Thank you, Rebel. I appreciate it. All right. How you doing was Joe's catchphrase. Is that right? All right. Let's see. Dominic Demena, great to see your shining happy face. Oh, thank you. Can I move my camera down just a bit so the fretboard is in view? Oh, okay. I will try to do that. I have to get a little bit wider lens. I'm going to buy a new camera for my live streams. I use a different camera for my other videos. I actually use multiple cameras, but I'm in the process of changing my live streams. I've just got so much going on right now. I can't change technology or the point of view. I don't like this this view with the file cabinets. The picture of my father's fine. That's okay. That one's cool. But the file cabinets and some of the other stuff, I'd like to take out of the view and make it a little bit better. All right. So anyway. A good way to balance your playing is a phrase trainer. Yeah, that's true. Okay. All right. Well, I don't have any more Joe Walsh for today. And I thought we'd just kind of wrap. If anybody has any questions, that's great. And anything guitar. And are my tutorials in the membership as well? So the answer is yes. What I haven't done, 92 Dilly Dally, is I haven't taken all of my YouTube and made it into and put it in there. That's not what I have done. But what I have done is I've included the list of all of my tabs and backing tracks, and you get to download them all. So instead of searching on YouTube, you can do it reverse. You can say, oh, it looks like Mark did a lesson on Don't Fear the Reaper. I didn't know that, so I can go and I can look at that. Eventually, I'm going to put everything in there, but I've got 800 videos, so it's going to take a while. But what's up there, my philosophy, let me show you what some of that looks like. So I'll just show this one more time. So here's the site. As a member, you get all of these courses. And it looks overwhelming, but as I showed people, if you start in the what's new, you can navigate everything, and it just tells you where everything is. But let's go for a second into rock tunes. And if I look at Let It Be, for example, I have a lesson on YouTube on Let It Be, but this goes far more in depth. But not only that, it allows you to pick and choose what you want. So I go into the tone and the theory. So I go into, usually I talk about how to get the guitar tone. I usually talk about some theory behind what's going to go on. Then I do a demonstration, and then I break down. Then I break down the demonstration. I could do multiple demonstrations like I do in this one, where I have a breakdown of the lead and then a breakdown of the solo at the end. And with many of them, I go through both the lead and the rhythm. So in this way, it's organized so that you don't have to get this big honking YouTube video to search through it for like, oh, where does Mark do the rhythm and where does he do the lead? It's all kind of taken out. You get the sound and everything's separate, and the tab's right there when you need it. Like if I click on this rhythm and intro riff, let me click on this for a second, show you.
Right, gang. We're going to do the...
So this is the video, and then right under it is the tab. So, you know, I'm talking directly about it. So it's just a little bit easier than my YouTube videos for sure. Anyway, glad you asked. Hey, Sale. Oh, Sally. Or Sally. I'm not sure. Yeah, he's the best. Let's see. Somebody is asking whether I have a tube amp or solid state. So I have both. I was a fan of Fender Twins. I used for a long time. I used a Fender Twin in my gigging days, and I'm too old for that. My back would break, so I no longer have that. I used to have, in the old days, I loved B.B. King, and B.B. King used an L9, if you remember those Gibson amps. Gibson bought, I forget who it was, but what were those amps called? I still have it. It was an awesome solid state amp. I loved it. It was cream of the crop, an L9, and it was great. But I can't remember the name of those amps. But today, I for some reason I started really liking Blackstar amps. So I have an HT. I have an HT that I film most of my videos using, which is a tube amp that I like a lot. It's a fairly new one, and then I have a and it has multiple voicings, which I like. You can get that Vox sort of voicing where it sounds just a little bit more grating and a little bit harder edged, and you can get more of a Fender sort of voicing. And then and you can also kind of get a Marshall sort of voicing as well. And then it has a lead channel as well, and that also has two voicings. So that's my tube amp that I use for most of my videos. And then, but for this one, this is really simple. This is a solid state amp. I think it sounds actually pretty darn good. Sounds pretty warm. Lab Series, thank you, Siebes. So I used an L9, a Lab Series L9. Thank you. And I mean, it was a monster. It was huge and it was super loud and it had casters on it, so I could get from gig to gig. But again, I don't have the back to do those. So any more gigging, I'll use a solid state because it's just so or a small tube if it's a small venue. But yeah, gigging, as if anybody's been doing that the last year. I haven't been out for a while. But there we go. You're welcome, Sally. All right. Yeah, Mike DR says that Joe Walsh married Ringo Starr's sister-in-law and is pals with Ringo. That is a good fun fact. I didn't know about it, but somebody earlier said that. All right. Ooh, that's not good. Yeah, I had a trainer Tramp. It was called a Tramp for a while. It was this 35 watt hybrid before they started, before that was very, very common, using the Mesa technology, I guess. But that was a great amp. Kind of wish I didn't get rid of that. Hey, thank you so much, Gary. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Okay, always appreciated when to get a tiny tip. You play and I used to play in coffee houses. I didn't play this stuff, but I used to play in coffee houses. Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues and all that '70s stuff. James Taylor and the like. I did a lot of Tony Rice back in the day, so I was a bluegrass player, but I did a coffee house set or two, and I never got the coffee house to ever pay me. So it was always like you put out the guitar case for somebody to come by and throw $1 or something like that. It always feels good. Oh yeah, I heard that Gibson bought Mesa. That's right. Gibson bought Mesa. Mrs. Ringo is from Jackson Heights, New York City. Is that right? Now, what is her background? Catherine Bach, right? What is Catherine Bach's background? I mean, ethnic background, I was thinking, but it'd be interesting to know because Jackson Heights is like, I mean, I know it changes, but I had my grandmother in law lived in Jackson Heights, and at that time there were a lot of Russians and Poles, and there was a lot of Korean presence and Indian, and also a ton of Colombians. So, I mean, some chose to become citizens, which is great and all that. But it was so awesome. You walk down the street, you hear 9 or 10 languages, and yeah, it's just great. Everything from South America to Eastern Europe and the Far East. So occasionally you heard English. Anyway, I just love that to be able to walk down a city in the U.S. and hear all that. This is great. Thank you, Van. I appreciate it. Van says thanks for all the great vids. You're welcome, and thanks for tuning in. Always good. All right, Ringo is 80 years old. Is that right? 80? Okay, Marky the Sharky says what model Blackstar? So I have two. Currently I have three Blackstar amps. I have the HT5, which is a tube amp. I have this one right here is the Blackstar TVP. So this was their first sort of modern series where they have the multiple voicings. That's kind of like the Boss Katana, and I think it came out before the Boss Katana. I just like the clean sound of this better than the Boss, which is why I bought this. And then I have an ID Core. So instead of ID TVP, there's an ID Core series which has like stereo speakers, and it's also kind of interesting. That's right, Scooter. Uh, I think there's still a substantial Jewish population in Jackson Heights, Queens. Um, uh, so a lot of my family-in-law's background is from Eastern Europe, Jewish from Eastern Europe. So so that's definitely true. She lived in a apartment with a husband was a dentist, I think, in Queens. But just great. I mean, it's so great. And people talk about like how expensive a city New York City is, and it is expensive. But like, you can walk into a hole in the wall and get the best food that you're ever going to get. I mean, it's just so good. If you don't mind being in a hole in the wall, and if you want a fancy atmosphere and a real posh atmosphere, no. But I mean, how many places are you going to find Murray's Sturgeon Shop? Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. You're very welcome for the vids, and I appreciate the super chat, Mark. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, that's right. Ringo's all-star band now has Lukather. That's true. Hey, did anybody catch Lukather's interview on Rick Beato's channel? Oh, Bach is Jewish from New York. Got it. Got it. Well, there you go. It was probably in the same neighborhood. It might have even been on the same street. Yeah. Well, it used to be that Jackson Heights, you could catch either the E train or the 7 train, and that whole area near the 7 train was all lined with Indian shops, sari shops, and food. It was just lovely. It was just so nice. I always caught the E train because it was a little bit faster than the 7 train. But occasionally, thank you, El Rondo. Much, much appreciated. Much appreciated. Robbie Love, is that right? He's a very humble guy. Well, I think that might have changed. That might have changed. I think, who knows? I think he had a lot of personal demons. I don't know too much about Lukather, other than he's an awesome player. I mean, to me, he's like one of the guys, one of his idols, Larry Carlton, probably the most melodic player. It's hard to say most, right? There's so many great melodic players. Brian May, for example, or Carlos. But Larry Carlton's definitely up there in terms of coming up with great melodic solos. But Lukather can certainly do it. And what is it? I won't hold you back now. Oh my God, that solo gives me the chills when I hear Lukather play it. It's not one of those speed demon sort of things that he plays, which are okay. I'm not a huge fan of that. I like Rosanna. I like the solo in Rosanna a lot. I'm not into the speed demon type of thing, probably because I can't play it. never cared to, but I mean, he's obviously has monster chops, but when he's playing really melodically, he's just great. What's my favorite Joe album? Well, I don't know Joe Walsh all that well. And the album that I knew the most was The Confessor. But I bet I would like earlier James Gang albums more. I bet I would. Or even the one with, who was he with Rocky Mountain Way? What was the name of the band? Jeez, I can't remember. What was it called? Luke was the only guy to play live on stage with Eddie during a Van Halen concert. Is that right? That can't be true, is it? Oh, during a Van Halen concert. Got it. Yeah, because I've seen Eddie on stage with a number of different people. He played with Les Paul, and he played on the Letterman band. Certainly, he sat in a lot of time. Take the A Train. Ba 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 da ba ba da 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 da. He's a big Glenn Campbell fan. Who's a big Glenn Campbell fan? Besides me, I'm a huge Glenn Campbell fan. Barnstorm, thank you, Sally. Barnstorm, yeah. So Rocky Mountain Way was with Barnstorm. So I don't know that album, but is it Lukather is a big Glenn Campbell fan? I'm a huge Glenn Campbell fan. I mean, he's a great singer. And in fact, you're gonna laugh. There was on Joy of Guitar, which by the way is a free Facebook group that I have. If you want to join, if you're on Facebook, I know Facebook is not the cool thing to be on these days, but if you're on Facebook and you want to join some like-minded guitarists, it's Joy of Guitar on there. The Joy of Guitar. If you search for Joy of Guitar Mark Zabel, you will find it. And there's also I think there's a link in the description of the video. But would love to have you join. It's great. Just make sure you answer all the questions, because if you answer all the questions and agree to the group rules, then you automatically get in, and I don't have to screen anybody. All right, got it. Thanks, David Smith. Luke. So Luke is a huge Glenn Campbell fan. Well, that's good to know. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, Glenn Campbell was he was my first. My dad was a huge music buff. And he couldn't play, and my mom couldn't play, so I didn't come from a musical family. And neither of my kids play, unfortunately. I'm so bummed about that. But anyway, there's this whole thing about pushing people, so I don't do that. But when my dad was a huge classical music buff, so I heard lots of classical music, but he was also into the New York Philharmonic plays, pop songs of today, with these really cheesy albums, right? But on one of his things, it was a compilation, and it had some Glenn Campbell, and it was the Jimmy Webb stuff. So it was By the Time I Get to Phoenix, Galveston, Wichita Lineman, probably Gentle on My Mind. And I listened to all those songs, and the only ones I really liked were the Glenn Campbell ones. I still love those songs. And it got me into music. and then thank you, Matt. I'm laughing. Thank you, Matt. And then I went over to my cousin's house, and he said, "Oh, you like Glenn Campbell? Well, here, listen to this. It's a lot like Glenn Campbell." And he put on The Who. He put on The Who and Elton John and the Beatles. So he was just indoctrinating me. I had no idea. I was like this little kid, probably a 6 or 8 year old kid. So that's how I first heard The Who and Elton John and the Beatles. That's why I still love that. Tim Pierce. Yeah, I mean, studio player for sure. I mean, how many studio players are going to be really melodic players? Tim Pierce is one of them for sure. Great player. Great player. Yeah, I mean, Glenn Campbell played on a lot of things, on a lot of the. I mean, he's a member of the Wrecking Crew, right? But I think Glenn Campbell really understood a lot of things that a lot of guitar guys don't, and that is that it shouldn't. I mean, he was a monster player, and it's not only guitar, by the way. He could play lots of other instruments, a lot of other stringed instruments. Growing up in Oklahoma and playing from a very young age. But he understood that it's about the song. It's not about his showing off as a guitarist. He could certainly show off. But if you ever hear, like, what's his solo for Wichita Lineman? It's beautiful. It really is. Listen to it. Do yourself a favor and listen to it. And all it really is the melody. But he plays something that's just really beautiful. And it makes the rest of the song stand out. It makes it more beautiful when he comes back in singing. And it just balances out the song perfectly. Yeah. Pinball Wizard. Pinball Wizard. Pinball Wizard's kind of like, oh, something's turned off. All right. Anyway, yeah, Pinball Wizard, good stuff. I love the beginning part where it modulates, that opening part. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do Pete Townsend next time. We'll do some Pete Townsend stuff. I really love Pete. I need to prep for some of that though because his songwriting's so good. And for Joe, as good as he is, he's a great player. The songs are like, the songs are the songs. He can come up with a cool riff, but with Pete, the songs are modulating all over the place, and the chord progressions are really interesting. So. Yes, Glenn was part of the Wrecking Crew. Chris Tile fan playing Bach. Well, Chris Tile is an amazing player. I saw Nickel Creek. I saw him when he was with Nickel Creek before. I've seen Punch Brothers too. They're awesome. But a long time ago in the early 2000s when he was playing with Nickel Creek. And that was just oh man. Those I can't remember the other one. Sarah, the fiddler in that group. Oh, she was so good. Sarah something. They never made it big. Well, bluegrass, you make it big in bluegrass, you make hundreds of dollars. So that's unfortunately the way it goes. Glenn knew a great whiskey too. Is that right? I think he knew a lot of stuff. Like he knew a lot of cocaine and knew Tanya Tucker pretty well. Yeah, I like Tim. Tim seems like a really nice guy. I've seen a couple of his courses. It didn't do it for me. It didn't do it for me. I didn't. There's undoubtedly lots of good stuff that's in that, but I couldn't relate to it. No, it didn't relate to it. I didn't relate to it as in a way that was powerful to improve my play. But I'm sure. I mean, he knows so much about sound and stuff like that. Quite frankly, I think most people it's overkill. But of course, I mean, if you're super into pedals and if you're super into a lot of that stuff, yeah, great, absolutely. And he's a consummate pro, absolutely. So no, this is absolutely not a criticism of him at all. I wish I could play like Tim Pierce and get to work as well. Let's see. Thank you, Stratocaster 55 champ. I appreciate it. Well, I'm humble because, quite frankly, I'm not. I feel I'm not that good of a player. I'm okay. I do what I can. I'm not a pro. I guess I am a pro now, but I'm a fledgling pro. I played out a lot. I played with different groups when I was younger, but back then it was all instinct and adrenaline, honestly, and chutzpah. And when I got older, it's like you start to realize how much you don't know, and then it just there's like either you get afraid of it or you start to like it. And I'll just share this with you guys. When I was in my 40s, I came back into guitar. I played. I hadn't played electric in a long, long time. I played bluegrass, and I played like Celtic music and stuff like that, and Appalachian music. I played more Truth be told, I played more mandolin than I played guitar. And when I came back into guitar in my 40s, I tried to play the old stuff that I used to play, and it wasn't that my fingers didn't work; they did, but my head didn't get any better, and it sounded like I was playing scales, and it just didn't click. And I started freaking out, thinking, "Oh my God, I got to know all this stuff and that stuff and the other." And at some point, I just said, "Stop! I got to find a better way of thinking about this, so I enjoy what I do, and I love playing guitar again." And I actually feel, I mean, that's what I tried to take my philosophy into that. But for me, it's all about playing music. I just have to be balanced enough so I can apply it. And yeah, so that's kind of how I approach it. But I just love playing. So I think it's great playing. So I hope it shows. And I love teaching too. So I get a real kick out of when my students can learn something. One of my students, I don't know if he's still on, but he's really good at giving me tunes that I haven't heard before and saying, "Oh, what about this one?" And we'll learn some stuff together. And it's fun. It's fun. Maple or rosewood? Oh, well, for Strats and Tellys, I prefer rosewood as a player. I just prefer rosewood with X. But with a Strat or a Telly, I gotta get a maple, maple fretboard, right? I gotta get maple just because it's, I don't know, it just feels right to me. It looks right, feels right. Yeah. Well, I would say, let's talk pedals here for a second. If you don't have a lot of pedals and you want to go, you can either go traditional route, you don't want to, and you want to stomp on things, right? If you don't want to go the traditional route, you can buy something like a Spark, or you can buy something like this thing has its own software, and you can get into software. You can buy the, bias effects, all that kind of stuff. And if that's what you enjoy, you should do that. For me, I hate, thinking about patches and stuff like that. I feel like I'm a chemist or a cook. Well, let's stay with the food analogy. I like to feel like I'm a cook or a chef when I make guitar songs. I'm like, oh, I'll add a little bit of chorus and maybe a little bit of delay and some compressor. And when I listen to music, I try and think about, oh, what pedals are they maybe using and how much gain and what type of amp model and stuff like that. But when I play, I like to stomp. Okay, that's what I like to do. And so if you're like that, you don't need all that many pedals to get 98%, 95 to 98% of the sounds of classic rock. If you have a reverb either out of your amp, you have a delay pedal, you have a good overdrive, or two. You can get a couple of overdrives, but if you have a good overdrive, and then if you have a modulation effect, that modulation effect is like a phaser or a flanger or a chorus. But you don't need all of them. You just need one of them. If I had to pick one, I'd probably pick a chorus. But if you have a delay, a chorus, an overdrive, and most amps have reverb, you're pretty much set for most rock sounds. Yeah, occasionally, somebody wants to play the 25 or 6/4 solo, and you want to click on a wah-wah or something like that. Okay, have at it. Buy a wah-wah and have it for fun. But, that's not that many pedals, few pedals. And And you would be amazed if you buy an EQ pedal, what you can do with all of that stuff if you're willing to play around. So on my pedal board that I use for most of my videos, I just have, I think, 6 pedals. The pedals I added are, I added a compressor. I like to put a little compression on my sound. I added an EQ pedal, and I added a noise gate, because whenever you play with a single coil guitar, if you want to get that sound where it's overdriven with a single coil, you got to have a noise gate. You just have to accept that they're noisy. So put a noise gate on it. Awesome. That's awesome, Marky. That's great. Meadows by Joe Walsh. Hey, that sounds like a good one. Yeah. Meadows is a good one. Joe Walsh goes over on YouTube. It's kind of like maybe on the good side of So I do a video and it gets viewed a little bit and gets some nice likes in the beginning, and then it peters out and doesn't do much. But that's fine. I can do Meadows. I like Meadows a lot. Yep. Tom Bukovac is great. Tom Bukovac's a great guy to have a look on. A wah pedal's helpful. Yeah, I mean, it's all fun. It's all fun. I have one of those. I can't remember the name of it, but I can't remember the name of the pedal company. I'm forgetting everything these days now. But it's an organ pedal. The B9 organ pedal. Electroharmonics. They make these weird pedals. And it's a fun pedal, but I totally don't need it. If I were going to pick a pedal, forget it. I mean, I would not, that wouldn't be my first. So heck, these days, let me see if I can find, hold on a second. Let's see if I can find one hanging back here. Not that these are the greatest things in the world, but something as simple as this can get you through a gig. This has reverb, it has delay, it has overdrive that's called rock amp, and it has chorus. Something as simple as this can get you through a gig, and how hard is this to put in your gig bag? And honest truth is, yeah, there might be a guitarist out there, a guitar player who's going, you don't have true bypass, and I use Boss pedals or whatever. But the bride and groom aren't going to care, and your bandmates aren't going to care, and the people listening, for the most part, won't know. And you'll know. So, if you want better sound, that's it. But this will get you through a gig. And it's a heck of a lot easier than lugging a tough pedal board. That's just my opinion, anyway. I know you can't get exactly, that John Mayer sound or that Carlos Santana sound where he's got the cocked wah pedal. But there you go. Anyway, and I should be one to talk, right? Because I'm going to be 55 soon, and I have my share of pedals for sure. Scooby Stap. Put it after the Tube Screamer. Foundation pedal from Cataline Bread. Like the dirty little secret of Formula 55. There you go. All right. Well, it looks like we're on to our pedal talk. I'm gonna bid you adieu for this Sunday, and thank you all for coming. Oh, TJ, money sucks. Yeah, money sucks. We all need it, right? Unfortunately. Let's see. You need to thicken up the sound from your Tube Screamer. Yeah, so Mike DR. So, Tim Pierce was a studio player for many, many years. Bukovac, all these guys, they're just players, right? There's so many people that are out there that are the great players. And trying to scratch a living as a player. It's tough. And I think it was Papa Stash was the person who first basically told Tim Pierce, he said, you want to get to a bunch of people, here's this thing called YouTube, and I'll put you on my channel. So if you look at his first time that Tim Pierce shows up for everybody, is like, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, something like that. He starts showing up on Papa Stash's channel. So Papa Stash deserves decent, and maybe Marty too. A lot of people on here on the channel don't always have great things to say about Marty, and I don't know him personally, but I think that he was somebody who gave Tim Pierce some credit and some fame on YouTube. So kudos to him. Kudos to people who share like that. I just dig that. I mean, I think that's what music should be. So, I mean, we all have to scratch out a living, right? We all do. All right. Okay, everybody. So, Marky the Sharky, you're very welcome. And thanks, everybody, for sharing your Sunday with me. I want to remind you again, the membership site is open for enrollment through Tuesday. Tuesday at midnight closes down. I'll open it again later, but I don't know when. For the special deals that are going on right now, you can click on the link below for the sales. And then there's a video series called Joy of Guitar if you want to know the background of why I did this and what the philosophy is on there and all the rest. I won't bore you with more views of it, but if you want to, you can certainly find them in this video. And that's it. So happy Joe Walsh Day. And we'll see you on Wednesday with the new video. If you haven't yet, again, I'll remind you, please like the video. It's free for you, and it doesn't cost you anything, but it means a lot to me. So if you can click a link or if you click the like button on the video, I would greatly appreciate it. And yeah, that's it. Enjoy your Sundays, everybody. Thanks to everybody who joined as a member. I really do appreciate that. Any donations, and also special thanks to the folks who gave in super chat today. It's always nice to get that little nugget of a gift, and yeah, makes it easier for me to do stuff like this. All right, so we will see you on down the road. See you on next week Sunday. We're going to have another live stream. We'll see you then. Okay, take care.